Hello everyone. In the previous video, we talked about how we can have custom defined table styles and how we can create a new styles. In this video, we want to talk about how we can use the slicers in the table and the filter buttons in the tables. So as you notice, the filter button in the design tab is ticked by default, and you can press it to not show the filter button and press it to showing the filter button. However, the filter button and the filtering is the thing that you have in the regular range of the Excels. For example, if you have some data in the spreadsheet, for example here, if I copy paste that as the regular data, and if I want to filter those data, I can use here as a filter option and use to filter that. For example, for example, here I just want to see one of my customers. I can filter it on the customer and it filter that. However, using the filter button in the range is okay. You can use that, it is fine. But if you have a data and if you insert a table on it, the filter button options is much faster and much prices. So I suggest you, whenever you want to use the data, especially whenever you want to filter on the data, most cases and more regularly, use the tables and use the table filter options, so you can come and filter that right by just clicking on these filter buttons. The filtering has numerous options to use. For example, filter by text filtering, filtering by colors, and these are the things I want to talk about in the next videos, not right now. I want to create a special video just for filtering options. But in this video, I want to talk about the slicer. A slicer is a thing that helps you to filter data more visually, more convenient way. For the users who use these Excel files you are creating, using the filter button is a little much hard for them. But using the slicer gives them the visual thing to filtering more properly. So whenever you want to show to user that they have the filter options, I delete these redundant columns. So come to the design tab. For example, I want to give them the option of the filtering and the data in the first column, which is not in my table range. I have to go select one cells in my table range, then go to the design tab and select the insert slicer. So you will see the form that asks you to check which one of these columns you have to slicer on it. So for example, I want my user be able to filter on the year, on the month, on the day, so they able to select a specific date. And also I want them to see, for example, filter this table based on the product name, so see the data for each product. So I checkbox this too, I press OK, and then it gives me fourth slicer that enable me to filtering the data. I can arrange them into another place. For example, here I can have them here. I can make it smaller, have a day here. I can make it pretty a little bit, and here as well. So when you have a slicer, user will be able to come here and without using this filter button, so I can hide this filter button. So without using this filter button, can come here and see, for example, the data of the year 2015. and he can also filter again based on the month. So these data are just for 2050 month 1, and for example a specific day for day 1. So it's automatically filter the data of the table and show my user just this specific day. For example, if I want to see day 1 and day 2, I just need to hold the control button and then select day 2 as well. So the user will be see the day 1 and day 2 in this table. Just for year of 2050 and month 1. And also, for example, I want to clear the filters. I have to just select the clear button, and now the date filter is clear. And also, for example, I want to see a specific products data. I can just select the product. If I want to see multiple products, just hold the control key in the keyboard and then select another product, for example, and then user will see just the data related just to these 2 products, and you can select multiple products. Also, if you notice, when I select the specific date, some of my products are become colored with the light blue, and it shows me there is no CPU product, for example, in this specific date that you can filter it. If you filter that, no product will be shown. So unfilter, and it shows me you just able to filter these current available products. So this is how you can use the slicer, and using the slicer is much convenient and can be much more beautiful than filter options here. Also, you can modify and design your slicer. For example, if I select one of these slicer, I can go to the option tab that is presented me whenever I select a slicer, and give me the slicer slides. It's just like a slides we saw in the tables, and I can choose one of these slides, predefined slides, or I can make a new slicer style, or I can duplicate one of them and then modify this slicer to what I wanted. For example, if I duplicate that, it comes to my custom style, and then I can modify this slicer. So this is how I can change the view of the slicers. For example, I wanna have the dates as a yellow one and the product as the green one. So this way I can show a beautiful slicer for my users who work with this Excel or by myself. Another thing, you can change the slicer settings. When you select the slicer, for example this one, you can go to the slicer settings and you're able to change the name, what caption. The name is the slicer name, which will be used by formulas or by VBA programming or something else, but the caption is the thing that shows the slicer here. For example, here to select, if you choose to write this, it will be changed to the name you want. So you can also change the caption here as well, but if you change that, the name will not be changed. If you want to change the name, you cannot use for example, space into the name. You just need to write the whole character without the space. You can use underline, for example, but you cannot use a space in the name. And another thing, display header, shows you the header of the slicer. If you uncheck that, the year will disappear. If you check that, the header of the slicer will be appeared. Another important thing is the hide items with no data. If you check that, the slicer will not show the items that has no data. For example, if I check that, you can see the years that has no data will be not shown in this slicer. For example, you can see that here better. For example, CPU, headsets, keyboards right now do not have any data when I filter it to the year, month, and day. So I want a slicer do not shows those. If I go to the slicer setting, check the hide item with no data, then these buttons, these products which has no data will be disappear. So this is another important thing you have to notice. In these tabs, you can choose the showing of the slicer buttons. For example, as you can see, 2050 and 2060 are so much big. I can show them beside them. For example, I can use the columns to show that I want my slicer has 2 columns. For month as well, I can use 2 column month, so it user able to see these data more properly. And in the day, I can choose to have 4 columns to showing the days, and the product name 1 column is okay. You can choose height of these buttons, width of this button, height of your slicer. For example, in here I want to make it a little bigger in the height and a little bigger in the width size, so I can choose it what exactly width size it has to have. So this is all you need to know about the slicer right now. If you find out that this video is useful for you, please subscribe into our YouTube channel and like our videos, and see our website yaku.co.uk and see our products as well. Thanks a lot and goodbye.